Agent Zealot contacts her people. The interview has gone badly, and she needs a cleaning team. Her intel was correct. The target was the benefactor of homebrew gene editing and contraband software. He was difficult and insisted she didn't look around his home. Zealot had to wash his mouth out. As the agent leaves, she is greeted by one of her group's cleaners, Custodian Bravo. She tells him that the perp probably leaked into the toilet and orders Bravo to avoid flushing him into the water supply. She then goes offline to get coffee before being debriefed. Elsewhere, 3 women have arrived at a place in the city. This is it, and though it might appear to be just another spot in Midtown Manhattan, their leader, who goes by the name Voodoo, knows that this place is special. It is resonant with certain stories of aliens and monsters. They will launch their new record here. 2 men watch this from a nearby coffee shop. They recognize Voodoo, and one man tells his husband, named Miles Craven, that he can't run up to her and say hello. Miles readily agrees with not doing that embarrassing act, but then he notices someone approaching them. This worries Miles, as he knows her as one of his researchers, Angela Spica. Miles is polite to her, but Angela is clearly stressed out. Craven tries to handle her, saying that she does great work for him, and he couldn't be happier with her efforts. Angela says she wants to expand her research, and she needs more resources to do so. She insists she can change everything, saving lives in a whole new way. If she's right, Angela can create a paradigm shift within the entire world. Miles says that's quite the claim, and asks her to give him an outline he can look at. But Angela says she's tired of getting the bureaucratic runaround from her supervisor. She needs his help, and memos aren't going to get her anywhere. Something needs to be done, and her first attempt at a prototype, it really hurt. The couple become concerned when they realize Angela is bleeding, but she doesn't want their pity. She wants to make the world safer, bring the future to civilization, and to get this damn thing out of her. Storming off from the confused couple, Angela threatens a barista, alarming Zealot, who is getting her coffee here. In tears, Angela wanders off, saying she just doesn't know what she's doing here. She bumps into somebody who saw a flash of light coming from the top of the Halo building. This is a popular company controlled by the famous Jacob Marlowe, a futurist who claims to be making a new world. Suddenly, a man falls through the window of the highest floor. Looking around, Angela sees there's nobody else that can help this man, so while everyone else takes pictures, the researcher says a simple command. Main engine start. While in tremendous pain, Angela calls forth technology from her own body and transforms. Launch. The man Angela saved is actually Jacob Marlowe himself. He is grateful for the rescue, and after seeing the man is okay, Angela prepares to leave. Jacob asks her to stop, saying that she helped him and he wants to help her, but Angela replies she doesn't think anyone can. As Jacob watches the stranger fly away, he contacts a woman named Adriana. Michael Cray of the International Operations, or I.O. for short, just tried to kill him, and the only reason he's still alive is because there's something new in the world. He orders her to wake up the cat. Michael Cray, who very much did just try and kill Jacob, reports back to the I.O. He is debriefed by the director of this facility, Miles Craven. The I.O. is a black government agency tasked with protecting the world, and Miles demands to know what happened. The mission was definitely not to throw Jacob Marlowe out of a window, but they did want the CEO dead. Michael explains that he planned out the assassination perfectly. He got all the way up to Jacob's office undetected, when one last alarm he didn't know about got set off. Jacob was waiting for him with special technology that the man hadn't had to use in 100 years, which Michael was somehow able to override. The technology exploded, knocking Michael into the wall and Jacob out of the building entirely. The only reason he's still alive was because of that stranger. Jacob is pretty shaken up by this, and while explaining what happened to Adriana, he has been drinking and openly wondering where she was when he was falling to his death. He's worried that Adriana seems to be drifting from reality, but she's quick to point out that Jacob seems equally disturbed. He's even laced his own drink with traces of polonium in an attempt to build up tolerance to radiation poisoning. Adriana wonders if it's because Jacob has been alive for too long and that his brain is beginning to fall apart. He assures her he is fine. There's no such thing as being alive for too long. There's always something new in the world. Speaking of which, Kat has not been able to track down the stranger that rescued Jacob, and back at IO headquarters they're having similar difficulties. Michael wants to help them, but before he can, he collapses to the ground. Miles has him taken to a medical station so they can find out what is wrong with the agent, while he looks into the strange woman who saved Jacob. Using surveillance technology, Miles is able to determine that it actually was Angela, one of their own people who talked to him not 15 minutes before the entire thing went down. Frustrated, Miles takes a moment to bask in his exasperation. Running the world really shouldn't be so hard. Hello and welcome to Comic Island. My name is Arden and this is my recap and review of The Wildstorm #1. So, here we have something new. Like said in the comic, there's always something new in the world, and this time it's Warren Ellis' new series, which brings about the return of Wildstorm titles that were part of his earlier career. Kind of. This is a return that's clearly got its own creative direction and ideas behind it, and taking a page from DC's own Rebirth is also a bit of a reboot for the whole franchise. Using lots of inspiration and ideas from Ellis' old line of Wildstorm and Image comics, this is something new entirely that does bask in references and callbacks to the old. But by no means is it mandatory you know about all those early Image comics and Wildstorm stuff. This is just a good issue, regardless of how much you know about Warren Ellis or Wildstorm, and if you're into Ellis' writing and style, it's a pretty solid read. I personally do enjoy this man's work, but if you don't, well, I doubt this comic's going to change that. If you aren't sure whether or not you like Warren Ellis' stuff, well, this comic could be worth reading, but you should probably check out some of his more fleshed out series if you want a better idea of whether or not this writer speaks to you. Ellis has done a lot of work over the years, but if I were to make suggestions, I would say his limited run with Moon Knight, or his work with his own Image series Trees would be good places to start. Trees in particular feels very similar to Wildstorm both in tone and structure, although I will say so far the Wildstorm is boasting way more of a tangible plot and better characters, in my opinion. The Wildstorm #1 has a lot going on in a single issue, but the art is great and so well drawn and detailed that the comic feels very easy to follow. It is one of those comics that did have to read twice to really get a handle on what was going on here, but after that it felt very straightforward. And yeah, I would definitely recommend this. The first issue does a great job at establishing the world and the idea of two competing forces with Halo and IO, yet it leaves a lot of mystery and speculation to the whole thing. Like the nature of Jacob Marlowe and what exactly is going on with Michael or Angela. I will say it does suffer from similar problems to Trees. It's got a lot of characters being introduced at once and not a lot of reasons to care about them, but like Trees, the overall plot and mythology is interesting enough that I find it worth reading. As a first comic in this series, it was very well done, and I'd be interested in seeing what happens next. This was our very cool Patreon bonus review for the week. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you want to stay in the comics we review, check out our Patreon page. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep reading comics.